Right, boys, today we're joined by a very good friend of mine, Mr. Lennon. We've been working together for a while. We're going to go over how we met each other, his business, and how we set up a very tax efficient structure that allows him to pay very little taxes completely legally. Do you want to introduce yourself, Lennon?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Lennon, 20 years old, from the UK. I recently moved to Thailand around 8 months ago, and I'm running two businesses at the moment. I've got a B2C coaching offer in the online info space for appointment setting, and I've also just released a B2B offer, helping coaches scale as well.
Thank you very much. And do you want to? So, obviously, the main business was Superior Setters. Now you've pivoted into more like of a B2B business, helping place sales teams and building sales teams, something that's a bit more complex. How did the idea of Superior Setters start? What was the progress, even financially, with the money that you made, and the progress that you did just as an entrepreneur, and as a person as well?
Yeah, so I think the idea came from obviously me being in the space for like in the online sales space for like a year. I did a bit of B2B in the past as well. So I actually met my business partner Tom and then helped him about, and then we started helping each other people for free, and then realized, if we can help loads of other people, why not just create our own community? Didn't actually think much of it to actually start with. And then it kept growing and growing, growing to the point where at the moment I'm living in this villa, as you can see here, with like nine other guys, and we've built like a proper community. And then from there, I wanted to leverage my income even further. So I used to do a bit of B2B back in the day with like retailing groups. So I thought, why not get back into it just so I can make a bit more money as well?
Thanks for sharing. We met about a couple of months ago, and obviously we started working together. We met, we got along, and we ended up working together and setting up your structure. So, what did you know about taxation before meeting me? Was it something you knew a lot about? Was it something maybe you were worried about? Were you thinking a lot about taxation?
Yeah, if I'm 100% honest, I think a lot of other people can say this as well. I didn't actually have much clue on what was going on, because I guess it makes sense, I just came out of college, started making money, and that's probably the last things I was going to think about is what am I going to do with my tax. So, like all other people probably are, like even you guys watching this video, you're going to be worried and you're not going to have much clue on what to do, especially if you're someone who wants to set up on as low tax as possible. Then I think you really need to start looking into it, because, like myself, I didn't have a clue on what to actually do. So when I met Leo, it was kind of a relief on my end, because then it made me realize that I can stop worrying about this fat bill I could potentially be getting, and I can try and minimize that as much as I can.
And yeah, it sounds like the peace of mind was, a very big factor when making this decision. I have a very interesting question for you, Lennon. So, a lot of people, when you come to them with this proposition, they're like, wow, 0% tax, this is cool. I want to get in on it, but like not yet. I can do it later. I'll wait until, I'll make some more money. Like, what made you take the next step and say, like, okay, now is the right time to get our tax sorted out?
Yeah, I think I kind of understood the consequences. So I think you mentioned this to me like before. A lot of people wait till a problem happens, a problem occurs, whether that's like a fat bill that comes in, and then they decide to take action. However, if you decide to take action beforehand and you just set everything up, like you don't have to worry about anything like any problems occurring in the future, and you're going to be prepared. So if you are someone who hasn't set it up already, you think you can wait another 3 4 months. Within these 3 4 months, something bad can happen, and you've only set yourself up for failure because you haven't decided to start taking action. Really.
Thank you for sharing. And another question I have for you is, obviously you said you didn't know a lot about taxes. So when you're looking into like setting up this new structure, you don't really know what you're doing. You're in the dark, so you need to trust the person that you're dealing with, like, quite a bit, I would say. It's not like a marketing campaign. Like, if it fails, it's we just we'll run another one. It's taxes. If things go wrong, if things go wrong, things go really wrong. So, why did you trust me? What made you take the next step exactly with me? Because, like, you need a lot of trust with this, and obviously you don't really know what's going on, so you need to trust someone. So why did you decide to work with me?
Yeah, I think one of the main factors was, firstly, knew some of the people I knew already in Bangkok. So if the people I can trust and I know these people outside, within my network and they trust Leo, then that just sort of automatically makes me trust Leo. But even the first day, like from just meeting Leo the first day, I didn't even know what he did or even who he was. But I just like hanging around with you. I think we hit a gym session, we did some sports. Already I could see like Leo was a likable person and that he was just, trustworthy. And then I found that he was an accountant too. So that's another reason why I believed I could trust him. Not only because that he's helped other people that I knew, but just from knowing him, meeting him on that first day, even before knowing what he even did for work, I knew that this is someone I could trust. And when you were like talking to me about the idea, Aiden, you know Aiden?
Yeah, yeah,
My friend Aiden was like, "Oh, be careful." But then Aiden came and met you, and he was like, "Oh yeah, like I trust this guy." So he was like, because when first mentioned like 0% tax, he was like, "No, you can't believe that," And then I was like, "Come over." So Aiden came round, just had a conversation with Leo for 10 minutes, and he was like, "Yeah, you can trust this guy." True story as well.
I really, really appreciate that. Obviously, for Americans, Americans are not able to pay 0% tax because the US is like one of the only countries in the world that tax you based on your citizenship. So if you've got a US passport, you're paying taxes. But no, I'm glad to hear that, and I'm happy Aiden approved as well. So obviously we spoke a bit. You decided, this is a likable person. I want to take action now. Prevention is better than cure. What was the experience working together?
Yeah, if I have to be honest, I haven't got too much to say because Leo is very hands-on. So obviously I am quite busy. A lot of entrepreneurs are going to be busy. So the best thing actually working with Leo is I don't have to really do much. Like it might sound crazy, like I'm not going to be here and tell Leo he does this, he does this, but I know that Leo is in the back end doing all of this because everything's been set up for me. And Leo's obviously told me the most important things, but it wasn't really an issue me having to know every single aspect because I knew that that's going to take up loads of time for me. I don't necessarily want to know like all this stuff, but Leo comes in, does it all really. I'm set up, my bank account is set up, like all my numbers, everything, my tax number, etc., all set up, and I didn't really have to do any of that. Leo just comes in and does it.
Appreciate the kind words. So now, obviously, 2 months later, we've known each other, we've become friends, we started working together. How would you say you feel now that all your taxes are sorted? You've got this very efficient tax structure, and you're living in Thailand. Living the dream of an online entrepreneur with the fancy beaches and the nice weather. And the fresh coconuts, and your taxes are optimized. So how do you feel now?
Yeah, probably relieved. One of the reasons why my dad always came up to me was like, if you sort your taxes out, you sort your taxes out. He was on my case like every single month, and then I finally told him, look, I met this guy, he's helping me out, so he's happy. And, I don't hear anything from him anymore, so that must be a good sign. But even for myself, I guess it's that relief knowing that I don't have to really ever worry about it. Because if I ever do have a problem, Leo's like a few like buttons away from helping me. So I think it's just made it a bit more enjoyable because I don't have to stress about having this fat bill, and then because obviously I'm in Thailand, having this sort of stuff out in the UK as well. It's all just like home to me now.
Nice. And yeah, the parents is a very funny one because they are always worried about us and as kids. Because at the end of the day, this is what we are. I'm 23. Lennon just turned 20 in January. We're very ambitious, determined, but we're still kids. We still like to enjoy. So it's nice that we still think about this grown up stuff like like taxes. And a final question for you is, obviously you've started working with me. It's going all well now. What would you say to an online entrepreneur who's seen his first bit of success? Maybe he's hit his first 10K month and is now thinking about setting up his taxes, and maybe he's on the fence. He's thinking, maybe when I'll make a bit more money, that's when I'll set up my taxes. What would you say to someone who's on the fence about getting their taxes sorted out?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like first of all, well done for like hitting 10K a month, but it's not that great when you've hit 10K a month for like the last 6 months you made 60K and you realize nothing's been done properly, and then a few months down the line you've just been hit by this massive bill and you don't know what to do and then you feel stuck and then you decide to reach out and it's cost you like double the amount with like the fees, etc. So what I would tell you is just be more strategic, reach out to someone like Leo, tax accountant, someone you can trust as well, just so you know that your finances are going to be secure, you're not going to have any problems, and you don't have to have, that thing in your mind telling you, oh, what about this, what about that? Because someone like Leo can just take care of all of it. And then most importantly, you can, just not worry about tax. You can worry about hitting your next 20 to 30K a month. What you should be doing, focus on your own business. And it's even better when it's 0% tax.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think you've niced me quite a bit in this interview. But yeah, that was Lennon. Thank you so much for
Pleasure.
sharing your experience working with me and how we met. And yeah, if you have any other questions, just drop them down below. Let me know what you'd like to see in the next few videos. And yeah, thank you for watching.
Nice one.